Under trasigt silhouette is so stationary. You release, but your custody calls. And I wanna be free. Don't you wanna be free? Do you like girls or boys? It's confusing these days, but moon dust will cover you, cover you. This chaos is killing me. Space boy, you're sleepy now. Your silhouette so stationary. You release, but your custody calls. And I wanna be free. Don't you wanna be free? Do you like girls or boys? It's confusing these days, but moon dust will cover you, cover you. This chaos is killing me. Hello, space boy.
I'm sick of all the noise from the storm in here. I need a little quiet to get things clear. But tell me something true or a lie I know, and show me that you're there. And I'm not alone now. So if the right words feel like the wrong kind to say, I'll keep my mouth shut, darling. Hope things all work out okay. between you and I. 'Cause you know there's something wrong. You've known it for a while, come on. Love is just a word that ties the gap between you and I. 'Cause you know there's something wrong. You've known it for a while, come on. Love is just a word that ties the gap between you and I. 'Cause you know there's something wrong. You've known it for a while, come on. Love is just a word that ties the gap between you and I. 'Cause you know there's something wrong. You've known it for a while, come on. But there's something wrong. Come on, you know. We just play along. Come on, you know. But there's something wrong. Come on, you know. We just play along. Come on, you know.
Hey, video on demand people. Hello, YouTube. How's it going out there? Hope y'all are doing great. We're going to go ahead and, as soon as I pull up my notes, I say the same thing every time, and yet I need my
You
notes.
do.
As soon as I have it pulled up, there it is. We'll go ahead and get started. Hello, fellow Galactic listeners. I'm Aaron Hoolian, and this is WSTR Galactic Public Access, a Star Wars podcast. Welcome to episode 236. We hope you and yours are well, and with everything crazy going on, we want to continue to be a platform that promotes positivity, life, and hope, and a little Star Wars along the way, and a cat on camera. Today, we are doing an Imperial Inspection on the much maligned, much misunderstood Jar Binks. But before we get to our clumsy but lovable Gungan, let's see who we've got here. Miss Heather Allred.
I just got scratched on the neck
Oh no!
to bring you cat content.
For
It's
those
totally worth it.
For those listening on the podcast, we are seeing a bright red arterial stream coming from Heather's neck. It's going all over the walls. It's quite the sight to behold. And that's what you're missing out on when you're not watching our live stream. Todd Hoffman, welcome to the show.
What's up, everybody? Coming in hot.
Thanks for joining us. It's good to have you here. Heather, it's been a while since we've heard your lovely voice teasing the news. Why don't you go ahead?
I will do so. All right. Here we go. That's me rubbing my hands together for the...
Oh.
Okay. Let me see you with my own eyes.
Ooh.
Not elf eyes, just my own eyes.
Look with your special eyes.
Eyes. Oh, that was funny. That just brought me back. Okay, sorry. Focus. Number 2. Is this power possible?
We're going to have to find out.
And lastly, our third item. Did someone say upgrades?
Upgrades, people. Upgrades.
That's it.
Dope. All right. The new what?
Dope.
I'm a surfer now.
I know. Like I know you're millennial, but like a lot of times you don't act like one. And so when you say things like dope or woke, it makes me giggle. It just makes me giggle.
I'm like a werewolf. I just can't hide it sometimes. It comes out of me.
Right.
As much as I try to keep it inside.
Right. Exactly.
Gotta let it out. Okay.
The beast within must come out every once in a while.
The news has been teased.
Yes.
I've been teased. And now we're ready to start the show. So let's go ahead with our main topic.
All right, everyone. If you're new to the show or you've been around for a while, but our Imperial Inspection segment is essentially detailed character analysis about someone in the Star Wars universe. Today, we are talking about Jar Binks. So I think what we'll do today is kind of go through chronologically through the movies of how we've been introduced to this character, and then we'll kind of break down, ask some deep questions here. But so if you're not familiar with Jar Binks, we are introduced to him in episode 1, The Phantom Menace.
Ooh.
And when we meet Mr. Binks, he's banished because he is clumsy.
A bit of a goof.
A bit of a goof, yes. So do we do that to others now because they are different? Like, so is that something that we do now, like because they're different?
Todd, are you saying that Jar Binks was canceled before it was cool?
Before it was cool.
I'm liking this biting social commentary, Todd.
Yeah, because it essentially he's like, this guy's messing up our stuff, and it doesn't really fit into the norm. So you just got to go. You can stay, but you can't stay here, type thing.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they said in the movie why it happened, but probably in the comics somewhere, he like crashed Boss Nass's little submarine.
Yes. Yeah.
So
he kind of he does explain it to, there's the great line when he runs into literally Qui-Gon Jinn, and he's like, I speak, and Qui-Gon's like, well, that doesn't make you intelligent.
Yep.
So it's like, but then it's just like, hey, I was just out, getting some morning munchies, and blah blah blah. He runs into Qui-Gon, but he does explain to him like, yeah, kind of crashed, and I think it's during the escape in the submarine where Obi-Wan's like, wait, you left because you got banished because you were clumsy? Ain't that the truth?
Yep. Lots of property damage will get you banished.
Yeah. So here's another question. Do you think the run-in between Qui-Gon and Jar Jar, do you think Qui-Gon saw something different in him, or he had a bigger purpose?
Hard to say. I think, and the prequels are famous for this, and that they will take, let's just call them misunderstandings or mistakes or just gaps in the story, and people will go back and like fill them in with the Force, like, oh, the Force like guided Qui-Gon Jinn to run into Jar Jar, and that set off all these events. I don't buy into that. I think there's still some room for uncertainty and fate, even without resorting to the Force.
Right.
Certainly, the galaxy would be a lot different later had Jar Jar not been on the scene, as we'll find out later. At the same time, if Jar Jar had not been in the wrong place at the wrong time, Palpatine probably would have had a backup plan or something else in place. So, I'm
not saying, I'm not suggesting that this is Force spackle. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying, do you think like there was, did Qui-Gon see something a little bit more in him, just like how we saw a little bit more in Anakin? Heather has her hand raised and she's gonna get it. Heather, what's up?
Yes. So I do feel sorry. Was that awkward?
I like the decisiveness.
Yeah.
I think what's interesting is he has a more sensitive nature of a Jedi than we see in other characters, right? So, Obi-Wan is very questiony. Anakin just is rebellious. Luke is just really young and eager, where Qui-Gon just seems to be super chill about things. And I think in that chillness, it allows his intuitive nature, not the Force, just as, human Jedi, to
Right.
kind of tap into people. It's that whole funny thing when like Padme steps forward and he's like, see, yes, I knew that, because he could, like, there was that moment where he sees past what's directly in front of him,
Oh, right.
and so I do think in meeting up with Jar Jar, there's that moment of like, wow, you poor thing.
Mm.
But there's something probably in that bumbling, because sometimes, even in our world, not the Star Wars world,
Okay.
sometimes the most like bumbly nature, or sometimes the people who don't have the best social skills actually are sometimes the most intelligent people.
Hmm.
And I'm wondering if there's a parallel in that.
I could be a jerk and just say that
Okay.
I think you should.
Qui-Gon read the script and he knew he had to bring Jar Jar along with him.
Oh, here
so
we
he did.
go.
Done.
More charitably,
Yes.
Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, they just crash land. I don't think he even found Obi-Wan at this point. So
No.
Qui-Gon's trying to find him. The Trade Federation is invading, and he runs into this creature, and he needs a friend. He's lacking allies and friends on this planet, so he's like, okay, you know what? You're not going to kill me.
Right.
We need to stop the Trade Federation before it's too late. Why don't you come along?
Yeah, I mean, he sees him as a guide. Yeah, he's a native. He's a native guide.
Yeah,
I
he's
again,
he's
I'm not
humble
saying
enough
this
to receive some help when he needs it.
Yeah, and exactly. He's like, this guy's local. This is a local guy, So I think he knows that that's the initial thing. But I'm just thinking more long term. If he thought, well, maybe he should stick around, and I think that's where he sees purpose when they meet Boss Nass. He's like, I'm going to take him with us, So I don't know. It's just something. His own people ostracize him, And then here's really the next thing that I feel like gets really overlooked is that he meets the young queen. Now, again, Padme and him essentially stop speciesism and racism in a very prosperous society like planet. So essentially, the gist is that the Gungans are in the water and they kind of stick their own, and they have like this sacred ground over here that they allow them to be. But everywhere else is just the Nabooians, I guess they would be. And they don't talk. So I don't know who came first. Maybe they're both there at the same time, but essentially the Nabooians and the Gungans don't really talk. So it took like a 13-year-old queen and this goofster, Jar Jar, to essentially like unite the people. So what can we learn from that?
Well, Todd, it's
Aaron.
it's interesting looking at it from the point of view that probably each population sees itself as like better than the other one. Like you have the Naboo, and they're in their super fancy Renaissance utopia.
Right.
And they probably like kind of look under their noses at the Gungans, who are underwater, and they're these weird frog people. And at the same time, like the Gungans, they're not like super like roughing it. Like they've got this beautiful underwater city that probably took Gungan engineers like 5 generations to build.
Right.
But and that they're, I think even Boss Nass thinks like he tells Qui-Gon that he thinks the Naboo think of themselves as like so much better than the Gungans, and the Gungans probably like look down their nose at the Naboo and their weird primate ways. And so it's a weird twist of fate where you have kind of representatives of both kind of brokering this peace and agreement to like come together because these droids are going to kill all of us. It's kind of out of necessity that they're able to set aside their differences and work together. And
Right.
that's that's why we have Boss Nass at the end holding up the glowing orb saying peace.
Right. Peace.
And yeah, apparently that continued for a while because Boss Nass was at Padme's funeral. So it's not like it's not like they just came together for this one thing and then split ways.
Yeah.
Do we know how old Jar Jar is when we meet him?
Someone on Wikipedia probably knows.
I'm just curious because we know Padme's really young.
Yes.
That I have to wonder that in the Jar Jar clumsiness, if you will, if he's got that like gangly, awkward, 18-year-old teenager thing going on, that it really was just two people from their respective lands who haven't necessarily been, I don't want to use the word brainwashed. That's very like jumping off the deep end, but that they're just young enough that they're experiencing the world for the first time, that they meet each other and they see something different than what culturally they've been told.
Yoda's datapad says Jar Jar Binks is 20 years old in episode 1.
Oh, there you go.
There you go.
There you go. All right. Thanks, Yoda datapad. Okay. I mean, so we see that happening. But the one thing that kind of brings them together is unite, like you said, Aaron, about united against a common enemy. But it's really the humility of Padme that really is the final straw to kind of unite the people. And I think that's where Boss Nass is like, okay, I can get behind somebody that doesn't think they're better than us Gungans. And so I think that's kind of a cool thing. And again, it's Jar Jar that does that. It's kind of very much overlooked in Phantom Menace, I think. It's, it's a little bit of, I don't know. I just think it's kind of cool. It's something that we just don't really talk about too much. We talk about the annoyance of Jar Jar from an adult perspective is like, oh my gosh, but if you really look at the character of what he does, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So we move on to Attack of Clones. So Attack of Clones, we have, he's kind of on Padme's council. He is super excited to see Anakin and Obi-Wan again. Why do you think that is? Why do you think he's so hyped that when they first get to see the two after a little stint here?
I think he's, for all his naivete, I think he's a very loyal person. And so being banished is terrible for him because he's got, nobody to relate to. And these are the people who basically like took him in when he really needed it and, believed in him and all that. And so he's, as we see later, he's not so graceful on the diplomatic front, and so probably, and Padme's super busy with everything that she's doing, so it doesn't really make sense that a lot of people would want to hang out with him. So his I mean, I don't know his social life, but he's got these longtime friends that he hasn't seen in forever come back.
True. Yeah.
Pretty straightforward for me.
Yeah,
I would agree. There's a comfortability there, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, and it's like they've been through some stuff. So when you've been through some stuff with some friends, and there's like I believe a 10-year gap between Phantom Menace and Attack of Clones. It's like, hey, I haven't seen them in a while, so I'm pumped, that this is happening,
Isn't there a moment too where like when they come, does Jar Jar be like, hey, check out my new robes or something? Like he's like, aren't you impressed with how much I've grown since last time you've seen me? Or am I just making that up in my head?
I don't remember that. It may have been in a deleted scene or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, he just says, I'm super excited to see you guys. And
Okay.
he's like, and then he's like, looky, who's here, Padme,
Okay. Maybe that's a
Yeah.
scene I wrote in my head, a little fanfic
Maybe
for
that's
myself.
Heather headcanon. That's
It's
Heather's headcanon.
hard to say.
Yeah. So obviously in Attack of Clones, we have a situation where Anakin and Padme have to go back to Naboo to protect her, and he's in charge. What do you think about this little play of events? Is this like rent a senator, or is it? I'm kind of like, so is it Corday? I think it's Corday who stays back, right? So she stays back. I thought she was supposed to be impersonating Padme, but maybe I'm just like, because he's, because
she had
essentially,
she had to give up the title of queen in order to serve as a senator. Like
right.
I think queen is like a kind of like a local. They're concerned with the local population of Naboo, and then a senator is the one who like goes and represents Naboo on the galactic stage.
But Typho and Corday stay back with Obi-Wan. They're on Coruscant, and then Anakin and Padme leave. So
that's what you're talking about.
The whole idea, like the whole idea is that they're trying to keep Padme on the DL, get her off planet. But I thought technically shouldn't Corday be being Padme, and so she should still be in the Senate, because it's interesting that Padme's like, hey Jar Jar, you got a lot to do. I gotta go. So, but then why keep the decoy behind if she's getting off planet? It's just
Todd, you're making too much sense. You need to stop.
I know. I'm sorry. So, but so we get to a point in the movie where they play this little guilt trip on Jar Jar. So it's C.O. Bibble. No, not C.O. Bibble. It's Moss, whatever. It's the blue guy. He's got the blue guy, and he's got, and Palpatine are in his office, and there's like, if only Padme was here, she could give emergency powers. And Jar Jar's like, oh, well, I could do that, So it's just kind of slimy that they play off his innocence,
Yes.
And take advantage of the situation. Obviously, Palpatine has got his strings all in this. But he gets a round of applause, and his eyes lights up, So what do you guys think about this little play of innocence?
I feel like I need to pull an Aaron here.
Okay.
Like, did they just read the script? Like, because if Jar Jar wasn't put in charge, would we have all of the drama for the next two films?
No.
So it's
seriously just like the Imperial. That's like, oh, that escape pod just jettisoned. Clearly, no life forms. If he shot the thing down, the whole thing would be over. We'd be still in galactic, but he let it go. The rest is history.
In one sense, you're right, Heather.
Yeah.
But to play devil's advocate here, obviously Jar Jar is easily manipulated. But as to like how he got the job in the first place, there's historical precedent for that. So in medieval Europe, especially, but elsewhere too. If you wanted to have any kind of government power, you had to be a noble, And to be a noble, you either have to be born into it, or nobility can, as a title, could be given to you by like another noble of like equal status or higher.
Right.
And there's more to it than that. There's some land ownership stuff and things like that. But it wouldn't be
There might be sheep involved, sheep and cows or something. Yeah.
But it wouldn't be unheard of or unusual for a noble to give nobility to somebody else for something that they did, like saving their life, or things like that. And so we tend to think of government jobs either being voted on democratically, or it's like the best person for the job and they're the most competent, and so they get hired or like appointed by somebody who's elected. But that it's not always the case. And in the case of Jar Jar, like Boss Nass makes him this general, not because he's good at tactics and strategy or leading people, but because he brokered this peace. It was like, you did this amazing thing for our people. The proper thing to do would be not only to like end your banishment and hey, you can come back, but to give you that kind of noble status. And so he's a general, and the battle goes well, and so he's a war hero, and so because of that, like he'd be given the station of senator. So it's not because he's the best senator that they could find and democratically elected, but appointed such because of the circumstances of his life. And so it's in that kind of perspective, it would make sense to me that he would end up being the senator. Obviously, Palpatine found an easy mark when it came to manipulating him.
Yes.
And so you kind of work backwards from there. Like, all right, Padme's against this War Creation Act or Army Creation Act. We need to get her out of the picture. Let's have an assassination attempt against her. You know, have it be convoluted and go horribly wrong, so that it keeps the Jedi occupied. Well, bring Padme away, and then
no. Technically, I think this is the Plan B, right? So, Plan A is eliminate Padme. That's Plan A.
Gotcha.
That's already set in motion. And he's kind of using his cronies like the Newt Gunray of the world and say, she messed their stuff up. Let's go get her. So, and he's manipulating because she knows that she is against this clone army thing, you know? So this is Plan A, get her out of the picture. Plan B is like, Obi-Wan and Anakin are back. I know Anakin's got feelings for Padme. Let's spin this a little bit. Let's go down that route for Anakin. And now that Jar Jar's in the seat, we'll make him the representative of Naboo to initiate this kind of emergency power, because the clone army is already being produced. This is already in motion. This is not like, I need to it's already happening. This is just, oops, she didn't get killed right away, and the Jedi are kind of on it now. So now I got to take the heat off of that, and I'll get Padme back to Naboo so she can't vote or try to stop this. I'll put the Gungan in play, so this is Palpatine's like working on the fly. So
and here's the other thing, like that. It would probably not be a popular thing for any senator to introduce this bill, even if it would pass and be, accepted by the Senate. So they need like a patsy to actually introduce the bill so that it would be approved once it's in the Senate. And do you really think Jar Jar is like concerned about re-election or like his constituency or anything like that?
No.
But it looks good that it's coming from the voice of Naboo that had this heat 10 years ago. And now they're like, yes, because we were in a position where we weren't getting protection because no one was coming to aid. And these clankers came in and did their thing. We need the Republic to have an army. So it looks good from a Naboo perspective. And that's what I'm saying. It almost boosts Jar Jar's confidence up. It's like, hey, they're clapping for me. I made a good choice, because he's doing that on his own fruition, but it's all right. Like Palpatine's like, sucker, like
Yeah.
it's like, again, he's playing off of that innocence that Jar Jar has to his advantage.
Yeah.
It's a Sith Lord thing. It's
Yeah. It's almost
Yeah.
like, if Poland was like, after World War II, they were like, hey, UN, you kind of want to have an army? Because we just got steamrolled
Yes.
like 7 years ago.
Right.
Uh,
Right.
let's maybe not have that happen again. And yeah, Jar Jar was the right person in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah, exactly. And then Revenge of Sith, there's not much Jar Jar. Unfortunately, it's not there. And really it's Padme's funeral scene.
Mhm.
And it's like again, we'll get into it just a second, but I mean, it's just interesting that his screen time there is just really I mean, I can't think of anything else in Revenge of Sith that he's in except for
No.
the funeral scene.
I mean, he shows up in Clone Wars, but it's kind of
Yeah, right.
more of the
Correct.
same from Phantom Menace Clone Wars.
Yeah. So that's interesting. I mean, the only thing is that, we know that the relationship between Jar Jar and Padme is essentially lifelong for them. It's like they anchored with each other, which is a very cool thing. I think that's super cool for Jar Jar. And then really the only other thing that we know is from a book. So I'm going to read this from Wikipedia. And this is in the New Republic era. And this is from Chuck Wendig's Aftermath series, is where we find out a little bit more about Jar Jar. So again, this is coming from Wikipedia. Because of his role, albeit the rise of the Empire, Binks was once again exiled by his people. After the Battle of Endor and the rise of the New Republic, he performed in the streets of Theed as a clown who was popular with children, but not so much with their parents. Many Gungan and Naboo adults refused to speak to him or say his name. Binks entertained the children by performing numerous antics, including wagging his tongue, juggling glumbo shells, spitting fish up in the air and catching them, and dancing around and swallowing and flushing out water through his ears. He befriends a local kid, Mappo, and they become friends. But that's all we know at this point.
Oh,
so yeah, it's it's kind of interesting because then now he becomes this kind of scapegoat, and it's a really tender moment when he befriends Mappo, because Mappo is like a kind of an outcast too, but then they become buddies because they're outsiders, And so, but Jar Jar in a sense becomes the scapegoat because he starts this war, but it's not. We know it's not. But unfortunately, from a perception perspective, he kind of initiated this whole thing, So there you have it. That is what we know of Jar Jar in the Star Wars universe. So let's get right to it. Why is Jar Jar so what's the word? Polarizing in the Star Wars community? Yeah.
Well, Todd, I think there was so much hype and expectation for the Phantom Menace that maybe many people today don't realize. But this was after the dark times. This was when Star Wars was coming back in a new way in theaters. Brand new movie that we were told we were never going to get. And to some people, it performed really well. But then there's also this really jarring thing where you have this kind of
no pun intended.
Yeah, this jarring thing,
right.
Where you have this kind of obnoxious comic relief character that's just front and center for the whole story. And I think people were expecting something a lot different, and so and I mean, we kind of see this with how people have reacted to the sequel trilogy, in that when it when one thing is built up into your mind about what you're going to get with Star Wars, and then you end up getting something different, you end up taking out your frustration somewhere. And I think for a lot of people, Jar Jar was kind of like the easiest target. Um,
Yeah,
like,
kind of like Palpatine.
yeah,
Palpatine thought the same thing.
yeah, and especially because it's a CGI rabbit instead of like an actual person. That it's easy to forget that there's an actual person behind that, and so yeah, Jar Jar was an easy target to take out your frustration on, and understandable if you don't like the character. And to you know, right after Phantom Menace, they're like, okay, let's take him off the screen as much as we can. Um, but yeah, the people were upset or had their frustrations with the Phantom Menace or the prequel trilogy as a whole. And the Jar Jar is kind of the gopher poking out of the hole, and so people are gonna whack him.
Yeah.
I think Jar Jar is the most, or was the most, in the moment, non-Star Wars thing for a Star Wars movie coming off of the original trilogy. Because the original trilogy, you had two characters, and I speak of obviously the beloved Yoda and Jabba, who were these, I don't want to use bumbling in the same capacity as Jar Jar, but bumbling where you didn't really understand Jabba,
I would throw in Chewbacca too.
Mm-hmm.
I would not throw in Chewbacca.
All I'm trying to make is that Chewbacca's a lot of screen time. That's one of the things. There's a lot of screen time. You don't understand him, but he's, I don't know. I just think he's kind of falls into that category. But go on. Sorry.
I think it's for me more Chewbacca felt a little bit more solid. Like his mannerisms and the way that he interacted with people felt much more human-like.
Gotcha. All right.
Or more like dog acceptable, where when you go into this, is it a frog? Is it a turtle? Is it, what type of amphibian type character are you? That Yoda read well as a puppet. And there was something about, well, Frank Oz is a genius. So I think we just need to have that be a thing, and where I don't know if the goal for Jar Jar was, hey, we've got young Anakin, so we're going to have this young boy. So we're going to be hitting this particular age bracket, and these young boys want slapstick comedy in some element that the adults from the original trilogy are like, what fresh hell is this?
Yeah.
If I may be so dramatic. I don't know,
Yeah.
And it just didn't have that same like Han Chewie, because there was already a bond there. It was very much a best friend moment, not this like, hey, I just joined school. Can I sit at your lunch table? And this like, can we be friends? Kind of nature. I don't know. It felt different. Which is, I think that where people were like, because if you pull out those moments with Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, and then bring Darth Maul in, and the Palpatine, it's like those moments. That's where Phantom Menace was good.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. Like, again, I was 24 when Phantom Menace came out, and
you're so old.
I know. And immediately I'm like, oh no. No. Like, they squeeze me. I'm like, oh no, don't be this this can't be the whole thing. And he's just in there the whole time. I'm like, how much screen time does this dude have? I'm like, oh my gosh. But, I saw Phantom Menace probably 9, 10, 12 times in the theater. And every time I saw it, the kids were laughing. And I was like, that's why he's in there. and I get it. I get it now. Like I got it. But I was definitely on the no Jar Jar. I mean, the less Jar Jar, the better, and but now that I'm mature now, guys, I'm very mature. I see the great value in Jar Jar. Like I flipped the switch. It's the same thing. Like, Heather's helped me out with this one too. I hated the Ewoks. I hated them so much. I'm like, there's no way these teddy bears are going to take out these Imperial Stormtroopers. There's just no way. But it's the same thing with the Gungans. It's like they come together and they can do better things. And that's the whole point of the thing. And it's like, okay, I get it now. But I just thank goodness that social media was not around, or it wasn't you have to dig deep in the message boards to find this kind of hate. But the hate was real for a long time. Like, so if you thought Last Jedi heat was bad, Jar Jar is number one. It's just number one. It was so polarizing. I think that's where a lot of people, like where I was at, the demographic of like, all right, grew up in the old trilogy and now I'm ready for the prequels, and it's like, oh, okay, this is it. And it's like, yeah, it kind of turned people off, but what do you think in Star Wars mythos? What's that role that Jar Jar fills?
Someone who shouldn't be a part of Star Wars that is a part of Star Wars.
Okay.
That's a good answer.
Thank you.
Better answer than what I was going to say.
That anybody can be a part of the Star Wars community. That everyone has a purpose.
Yeah.
In the Star Wars universe.
I like that.
Mic drop.
I got nothing next question.
I'm just being dramatic.
Yeah. No, I like
got nothing to add.
I like it. The only thing I was just going to go back to what, a lot of the mythos is built on other stories, right? We have a lot of things that have been used and recycled. That's what George does, is bringing off other fables, other mythos, all this kind of stuff. But I'm really bad, but I think in Greek mythology, there's like a jokester that actually is somebody that's pretty prominent. He looks like a goof, but he actually is something more. And I don't know what that is. I don't know, but I thought I read that somewhere, but maybe I'm making this up too, just like Heather was making up the Jar Jar robe thing. I don't know. But I just think like he's kind of like you almost take him for granted, but there's a little bit more into that. And I feel like that's where I'm coming from at this point, is that he is, you write him off right away. Both like in the movie and outside the movie, you're just like, I don't, but like I said, he stopped racism and speciesism in a sense and brought the people together with the help with Padme, got to see the queen, like literally talk to the queen, like, this is wrong, we got to do something about it. And he changed things. And I think that's like super powerful,
Yes. To hijack your comment at gunpoint.
Yes.
The tarot card deck, you have like the Fool and the Hero. And I think it's a part of Jungian psychology where you have to be the fool before you can become the hero. It's like a necessary stage you have to go through. One way to think of it is like if you're picking up a new hobby, you're going to be terrible at it first. You're going to look like an idiot. You're not going to know what you're doing. But if you persist in that, that's the way that you become really, really good at it. And you need to be willing to look like a fool in order to, in this frame of reference, save the world. And so we kind of have shades of that in the Phantom Menace, where you have this kind of bumbling buffoon end up, being at the center of this kind of historic agreement and bridging together of these two groups of people to unite them to save Naboo. And then after that, he kind of turns into, much like Darth Maul, this kind of Sisyphus figure where he's kind of set up to fail. And it's really just tragic after that he ends up being this kind of homeless street performer in Naboo after all is said and done. And he by being used, he allowed the Empire to take over. So pretty tragic character in my point of view.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Did George's plan change because of Jar Jar hate?
I remember hearing something about that.
Yeah.
And
it's really hard to say because we don't have George here. George is not here. Sorry, guys. But it's
might be buried in an interview somewhere. But I really don't know. It's hard to say.
Yeah. I mean, it's yeah, go ahead, Heather.
I just like there must have been a level of adapting based on that. And I also think and fear that some of that change may have been because of the hate Med Best got, that I don't know what the actor's commitment was to the character anymore either, which I know we'll touch upon.
Well, yeah, we'll touch upon that in just a second. But I mean, let's just like if we're talking about, contract, he probably signed for all three.
True.
Yeah, it might be an upfront thing, or it could have been like, well, I just signed for one. I mean, obviously, like when Star Wars came out, the guys like they don't even know they're going to make another one, right? But this one, you're gonna you're gonna be a main character in Star Wars. Do you want to do all three? Heck yes, I mean, so there could have been something where, I mean, this was already planned. This was a three thing, and we know as much as people say, well, the sequels failed because there wasn't a storyline. I mean, George did not have this completely mapped out. He's still literally writing the script of Attack of Clones right before they're going to film. So it's not like this thing was already inked. He didn't start off with all three written. He finished the first one, had a rough idea for the next two, but you got to be a little bit of a cynic and be like, it probably diminished a little bit of what he wanted Jar Jar to do because of just the heat. It's like, I don't want to hear it, and in fact, part of the reason he left the movie business because he's like, they don't like it anyway, so I might as well just, kind of give up the ghost, So, yeah, that one's like, it's just like, I don't know, it's hard to, really kind of, could it have been bigger? I don't know, maybe,
Yeah, there's that somewhat infamous clip of George Lucas working on the Phantom Menace, and he's like, Jar Jar's the key to all this. If we could just get him working. He's a more complex character than we've ever had before. And so people have wildly speculated what that could mean.
Yeah.
Who knows? We'll never know, probably.
Okay, here's another internet rumor. We got it. Is Jar Jar a Sith Lord? Have you heard?
No.
Have you heard this theory?
Oh, Todd. Oh, Todd. I don't even want to entertain
I didn't make it up. Well, it's kind of we'll just brush it off as, because of the hate of where Jar Jar was at after Phantom Menace and the big plan. Some have speculated that there was actually a more like he was there to act the fool in a sense, but behind the scenes, he's a lot more complicated than that. Not that like he was the true like Sith Lord. I was like, I don't know, but it's a thing. If you want to look it up, guys, go ahead, have at it. It's a deep dark hole if you want to look that up. Okay. Uh, let's talk a little bit about what Heather brought up earlier, Ahmad Best. So we found out a little bit, as we got closer actually to Celebration Chicago, because we're at the point at the 20-year reunion, or 20 years for Phantom Menace. And it came out that Ahmad Best he basically kind of came out. I don't know if it was before the celebration or around that time, but that was suicidal. He almost took his life. A lot of pressure post kind of that period. So, Heather, what do you think about all this?
Well, I don't like it, if I can be so bold. I mean, it's so hard, to think that anyone would reach that point. I don't care who you are, where, famous, not famous, whatever. It breaks my heart that someone gets to a place where a suicidal thought comes to their brain.
Yeah.
We can only hope and pray that help is available to them and that they have the strength to find that help.
Yeah.
For as great of a community as we are, and for as great as social media can be, hello memes, there's a lot of really bad and stupid people out there.
Yeah.
And it's so safe to say what you want to say to a computer screen, and not have the ramifications of the outcomes of that. And obviously this situation was well before what social media is now. But I want to, not that he listens to our podcast, but in case he does, I want to, applaud him for being vocal, and sharing that, because I think it's just one step closer to the separation of actor and character. And hopefully, we didn't really learn with Kelly Marie Tran, unfortunately.
No.
I think some of the Kelly Marie Tran Rose character got stopped a lot faster, potentially because of Ahmed coming out at Star Wars Chicago.
Yeah. In both instances at Celebration Chicago, Ahmad Best got a standing ovation. So did Rose Marie, and that's a good thing, but it's still, we learned nothing. We didn't learn nothing, because there's just as much as hate that George and Ahmad had in the prequels, and then Ryan and Kelly Marie, and even some Daisy Ridley, there's John Boyega, there's a lot there that
people didn't like. Anakin, Hayden Christensen.
Yeah.
I mean, there's
no, but even look at Jake Lloyd. Jake Lloyd got on drugs and got messed up, and he never recovered. And Ahmad, I don't know if he pushed for anything from acting, but he pretty much got blacklisted. It's like, if he was going to be something like an Andy Serkis, where he doing that kind of, he didn't even have a chance to get to like a Andy kind of Serkis level, because he was blacklisted in a sense, and it's like, we didn't learn anything, so it's like, how can we do better there as a Star Wars community? Is like, just like, got to separate the both. Like, don't, you can hate the character, hate where that story led, but this is a person just doing a job that the script says. It's not like, they might have some creative input. There could be some creative input, but it's not their story to tell. It's their job to perform what is given to them. It's just a weird, we still can't get there. I mean, we can get there. We're getting there better, but I agree. Like, I feel like the Rose Tico stuff kind of is a little bit died down, but it was ugly for a while there, and the Jar Jar thing, was ugly for a long time, but was hidden because you didn't have the platform to. I mean, there was message boards and all this stuff, but like to the common folk, it wasn't like so widespread. Like they could just look at their phone and be like, oh, they don't like them either. Okay, I want to get on that train. So last question. What's the main takeaway from Jar Jar? What can we learn from Jar Jar? What is something that we could kind of apply to our lives?
Well, Todd, what's important is that sometimes life doesn't turn out the way that you expect it would, even despite your best efforts and despite being a good-hearted a person. That could still not be enough to kind of steer you away from disaster. So you need to be ready for that, and you need to, know who your real friends are, and both of those things could have really helped Jar Jar out, I think. As far just looking at it from a character perspective, from kind of a wider perspective on just Jar Jar in the place of Star Wars. Kind of related to our last point, like, dislike the character all you want, but you have to remember to separate fantasy from reality, and that should stop as soon as it gets to a person who's just having fun and making money, doing what they love, acting. And if you need someone to direct your hate to, there's people deserving of that a lot more than some guy dressing up in a costume for a Star Wars movie. There's people out there who can't afford their child's insulin medication because of some greedy, selfish, horrible people who have power over them. So maybe think a few times before you cast that first stone.
Yeah,
that's about as much as I could say without bleeping myself on the podcast.
Aaron censoring Aaron.
Yep.
Heather, what about you?
Be yourself. You're going to be loved or hated regardless. You're going to get kicked out of your community possibly, but you may find a new community. And don't be afraid to stand up for what you believe in. I think we see that with his relationship with Padme and what they were able to accomplish. And even when, kind of similar to what's been said, when things don't go your way, if a bad decision takes you down a path that maybe doesn't look the way that you thought it did, I guarantee you, based on what was shared, I mean, he brought joy to those children, even if the parents didn't quite understand. And that's okay. And yes, I will say this now, and I will say it again. This is a made up world.
What?
So please remember, it is 100% okay to be passionate about it. Clearly, we are part of a podcast that talks about it every week, but there is zero space for hatred. Like zero. You're allowed to not like something.
Absolutely.
But please don't be upset when someone's like, really, I really enjoyed that film, or I really kind of like that character. That's cool because I love this character. And
the gatekeeping. The gatekeeping. Yeah.
Chill out for like a second.
Right.
It's get a cup of coffee.
Yeah, it's entertainment. Yeah, I mean, but that's what makes it healthy, right? You want to have a healthy, like,
Absolutely.
you don't like this, I like this. How do we meet in the middle? That's healthy. It's healthy to have those kind of conversations.
Absolutely.
Big things, big themes, or small things, or characters, that kind of thing. I kind of echo all the two of you here, and the one thing I would just add is like it's kind of an old thing, but never judge a book by its cover. I think I was in that bandwagon too. Like, oh no, this guy, nope. And it took me a long time, but I really do appreciate, the character Jar Jar and what it brought to the Star Wars thing. And kind of what you were saying too, Heather, like the real world part of it is like, implying that into your own lives. Like somebody might be coming off not your awkward or not your type or whatever that is, but you know what, you gotta just like, okay, let's see where this goes, instead of just totally cutting off the person. You never know where that can go,
right?
And you gotta give it a chance, instead of just like, nope, see ya. You never know. You never know. It's one of those kind of weird things, that butterfly effect. Like you never know that one conversation turns into the thing, and then turns into this other thing, and and sometimes it takes a person, similar to how Padme and Jar Jar are, and Padme with Boss Nass, in a sense. Like I got to come at this a little bit more humble than I'm better than you, and if you take that approach, a lot of different things, it might turn out really good. So.
Well said.
So there you go. Jar Jar Binks. Yeah, I mean it's interesting. I like doing these things. I love, and he's been much maligned. So I think it's good to kind of talk through that. All right, stick around. We got to pay some bills. I'm gonna just cut right to the chase. audibletrial.com/WSTR media. You gotta get in there, try it, look at Audible. You can get a free 30-day trial at audibletrial.com/WSTR. And guess what? You can listen to an audiobook and 2 original audiobook exclusives from Audible. And yeah, they're fun. There is like a bazillion titles out there. So if you want to dive into, underwater basket weaving, it's there. It's right there. You can check out all kinds of cool stuff. And I'll tease something. I just finished this other Audible book that was amazing. So stick around, but you got to try audibletrial.com/WCR and get your free 30-day trial right there. So check that out. All right. All right, let's do some Heather. Let's do some Twitter trash compactor.
I will do so. Friends, family, have you taken out the trash?
Not in a
Great.
while. It's getting
Not in
pretty
a while.
stinky.
All right. So for Twitter trash compactor, we recently celebrated the back half of season 1 of Bad Batch, which if you've not seen, Disney Plus has your back, both the front back and the back half. So
the whole thing,
all of it.
Yeah.
So, but we asked a very important question, and that is, what is your favorite moment? Of course, we always have the option of providing some answers here. And then, of course, write-ins are always welcome because we want to hear more than just what we think. So the 4 options that were provided to you were Hera and Chopper, Hauser Defiance, the McQuarrie Troopers, or the Omega Revelation. That's how I felt like that needed to be said. So
oh yeah, that's good.
I went with it.
But
so
Aaron, Omega, you gotta say Omega, Aaron.
Omega.
which is the other option. All right. I don't see any comments were written in, so we're just going to stick straight to the 4 options. Hi, I'm Heather. I've not watched any of the Bad Batch yet, so I can't make any sort of contribution to this.
Aaron, kick her out.
So, Aaron,
Somewhere, somehow, Omega's not quite sure why, but she just shed a tear.
oh,
Uh,
so Aaron, would you like to comment on your favorite moment?
Man, I really dig the Macquarie troopers and all the old stuff that they're pulling out. But I'm probably gonna have to put my vote in with the Omega Revolution. Revelation.
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 Yeah. Gotcha.
Excellent. Hoffman.
I'm gonna go with another H here. Hauser Defiance. I just love that this is somebody that saw where this is going, getting bad, and he said, "This ain't for me." And he had a nice little speech, and he actually brought some other clones. Like, yeah, why are we doing this? This seems not right. And I just like that part. We don't, from what we know, we don't know what happens to Hauser, but I just like somebody that stood up for. He's a military guy. He's following orders. He understands that system. They've been bred for that system, and he understands this. But then there's this point where he's like, the system is okay, but what we're doing is not, and I can't do that anymore. And I just like that he stood up, and went the road less traveled, and I just like that.
Nice.
Excellent. Well, Todd, you and 36% of the voting population also picked the Hauser Defiance, and it did win our poll this week. But don't worry, Aaron, because your vote took that tie of 27% and put it at, just in that second place, because Hera
Tied for
and
silver.
Topper and the Omega Revelation tied at 27%. And while we all love a good throwback, those poor Macquarie troopers only got 9%.
Yeah, I was already all right, maybe that's another outfit I need in my.
So we'll just do a tip of the hat to the troopers. But
man, it's been a while since we tipped the hat. That was great.
I know, that's why bringing it back. I'm bringing it back, kids. All right. Well, I have taken out the trash. It's been a while since I've done so I do apologize for that. But you know what else it's been a while since I've done? News of the week.
Hey.
I need to get a sound effect where I can be all like microphony and like big and booming. I'll work on that.
Yeah, but here's the thing. You've promised many times that like you would have like a news of the week like outfit, so like I feel like you need to have like a blazer and like a cap or something on the standby.
I could make that happen right now.
Right. Well, it's fine.
But it's too late now.
It's too late now. Yeah. Like 5 minutes later. Okay, I'm
ready. Put up an intermission sign, Aaron. It'll be fine. All right. Let's go to our first news item, shall we?
We shall.
StarWarsNewsNet.com, which seems like a very long website, but that's okay because they share exclusive, and she divulged some details about the upcoming Obi-Wan Kenobi series.
Details, you say?
Details. Those details included young, not so young, Hayden Christensen returning to play Darth Vader.
It's getting late,
it's
folks.
an offshoot.
Okay, so Hayden Christensen is returning to play Darth Vader.
Yes.
Not to be confused with Anakin Skywalker. They're separate. They're different.
Got it.
For the rematch of the century. Okay. So the series began filming in Los Angeles. It's been going on since April.
Yep.
And this website, StarWarsNewsNet.com, has exclusive images and details regarding this return. So, warning, there are some potential spoilers. I've done all that I can.
Yes.
I've done all that I can.
Right.
So, okay. I mean, I can only do what I can do.
Right.
So, $66 million question. is why is Lucasfilm bringing back Hayden to play Darth Vader?
That is a good question.
I mean, it's a $66 million question.
Whoa.
Not just $1 million, 66. Very specific.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Vader is behind a mask, right? He's voiced by James Earl Jones.
Mm-hmm.
They've used other figures such as Spencer Wilding and Daniel Napros.
Mm-hmm.
So why are we going back to Christiansen? Why? The reason is because we will be seeing Darth Vader without his mask.
Oh my God, naked?
What?
I didn't go that far.
Oh,
But
right. Yeah.
you know, I mean, there's not much of him left because he's kind of burnt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we might,
yeah,
it's hard to
yeah.
say. But basically we've got this sort of cool looking rendering image that I can't really share on the podcast because it's a visual thing. But
Yeah.
anyway, so we've got
Anyways, yeah, it's kind of like we're gonna see him, so we need to see him. There's no, I mean,
and he's kind of
like
gonna
you
look
said,
sort
like-
of the same.
yeah, like we need to see him post Revenge of the Sith, but now in Vader. So like the only reason you would beat him back is two reasons. Obviously, if you have a flashback where you see him remembering something that happened in the past, and you can use the actor for those. Maybe do a little de-aging. That's
Mhm.
hot these days. It's like, oh my gosh, yes, I remember. Or the other one, which is what's kind of being confirmed on these leaked photos or exclusive
Mhm.
photos, is that we're going to see him similar in Rogue One, where we see him being pulled out of a back to tube, and there he is. He's Hayden, and he doesn't look so good, but there he is. I mean that's kind of the only two reasons you would bring back that actor, is like we want you to have a part in this, and why you would have to show his face. There's no other reason. You can't tell who's behind the mask.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, I wonder if to me what I'm worried about is Obi-Wan and Darth Vader meeting up again, because it steals a lot of the weight of the scene from episode 4, because that's supposed to be like the big moment when master and student meet once again.
Mm-hmm.
And so to have them meet before then would seem to just cheapen the whole thing. I wonder if one possibility is that they never meet, but Vader's trying to like interfere with Obi-Wan and find him and things like that, and we kind of get like there's a narrative wall between them, but they're both very much part of the story, and so that's one possibility. I can't think of a second one, but there's got to be multiple different ways to do this. But I'm very intrigued that they're having Hayden Christensen as an actual part of this instead of like the mannequin that they had in Rogue One.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, needless to say, this is going to be an exciting adventure, and we're all going to watch.
Super stoked.
So, yay!
Yeah.
Is that awkward? Did I make that awkward? I felt like I made that awkward.
It's your segment. You can do whatever.
I can do whatever I want. Okay.
Yep.
Well, I don't know, but Yahoo knows, because Yahoo is stating that Costco is now selling not only Marvel, but Star Wars advent calendars. Oh, wait, I'm not done. They are Lego advent calendars.
But Heather, it's September. Why? What was happening?
Who cares when it is? It's Lego. Okay, Christmas isn't here yet. We get it. It's fine. But I say start your holiday shopping now. Because who doesn't love a good advent calendar? I mean, who here hasn't eaten all 25 pieces of chocolate in an advent calendar on day one? Just me? Okay.
Nah,
It happens.
I
So,
would never.
all right. Well, if you have a Costco membership or know someone who has a Costco membership, hop in their car and get on over because they have Lego Advent calendars. What is a Lego Advent calendar, you might ask? You might ask. Apparently, the
What is
podcast
an
is
advent
not
calendar, Heather? Tell us now.
Oh, that was our cue. Aaron, that was our cue.
Look alive, guys. Look alive.
Oh,
Basically, you're going to get this great little box, and every day you're going to open up a new little package, and it's going to have a new little action figure for you. But here's what's really fun is those little Lego characters you get or little, additional like ship or speeder or added bonus fun of Lego. It's all holiday themed. So have you watched the holiday Lego special on Disney Plus? And you see like Vader in his little holiday sweater with his little thing. I mean, this is what we're talking about, people.
Mhm.
These are not just your average Legos.
yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yes.
I'm a fan.
Yeah, no, I get them every year and they're fantastic. It's a lot of fun. It's fun. And you get, if you're a minifig guy like I am, you get these little exclusive minifig. Like last year, Poe had his holiday sweater from the holiday special with a little like knitted BB-8 sweater, and it's in Lego form, and it's fantastic. But I think this year, if I'm not mistaken, it's all Mandalorian, baby.
Mm-hmm.
So Mando's hot. Let's get it on. Let's get it on. You might not get your Mandalorian season 3 in Christmas, but you will get this for your Advent calendar. So
This is true.
All right.
Yep.
So just go fight the crowds, kids. Fight the crowds at Costco. You can do it.
yeah,
I have faith in you. Hey, are we talking about Legos?
Yes.
we are.
GameRant.com also is talking about Legos because they state Lego Star Wars, the Skywalker Saga's combat improvements aren't just player side. What?
What?
What
The
do
Skywalker-
you mean?
Yes. So the Skywalker Saga will be changing traditional Lego combat, and its latest trailer drives that point home with new details. Okay.
Okay, give it.
All right, here we go. Many fans of Lego games were eager to get news about the Lego Star Wars, the Skywalker Saga at GamesCon 2021.
Okay.
Traveler's Tales gameplay trailer provided some insight into the way that this new game, the Skywalker Saga, plays, which is important because it seemingly aims to change everything.
Oh.
So, Lego game fans have known these Traveler's Tales plan to revamp the franchise's combat system, and its GamesCon trailer gave them a glimpse of that new fighting technique available to the Jedi and in-depth gunplay available to non-Force users.
Whoa.
Breath. Okay.
Period.
So, the trailer has revealed, however, more than the way the players fight. It has also provided a bit of insight in what makes the new fighting styles worth using. So the trailer is suggesting that the game is stepping up the variety of enemies that players will encounter. So basically, what Traveler's Tales are doing is they're offering a new level of a challenge to those Lego players and make them think more about how specific enemy types behave and how to use these new combat enhancements to take down those foes.
Wow.
Are you with me so far?
Yeah, I'm
I
here.
feel like this is
I'm
a lot
tracking.
of information.
Yeah.
So
So basically, we can fight differently in Lego now.
correct. So it's not just, little Lego pieces flying when you blow something up. You got to fight for it.
That's right. Right. You got to smash different buttons for it, man.
So
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm super stoked. This was delayed because of COVID. It's supposed to come out spring of 2020.
stupid COVID.
Yeah. So here's the deal, though. Here's what's
Yes.
disappointing about this trailer. They still said spring of 2022.
Dislike.
Why not just pick it? Just why not just pick a date? And they should pick May the 4th. I'm just telling you right now. Pick May the 4th, 2022, and you will be winning life.
Mhm.
Don't delay it anymore. I totally get it. I'm not disputing COVID and all that stuff, but you have now this kind of finished product, and you're right there. Just hit the home run or hit the Death Star trench run and blow up with the proton torpedo. May the 4th. Just do it. Just do it. Do it. Do it.
It's the only way at this point.
It's the only way. Yeah.
You got to.
Yeah. And it doesn't take a marketing genius to figure that out. Like, you want to do something Star Wars, you want to do it, just do it on the nerd holiday, May the 4th, and you'll be winning life.
Todd has spoken.
That's right.
So, all right. Well, gamesrant.com has that article, some really fun imagery. Don't forget to check out the trailer if you've not already done so.
Oh, wow.
Do it.
Do it.
And that, my friends, is news of the week.
You know what that means? It's time for Cantina Chat. All right, the part of the show where we talk about everything geeky and weird going on in our lives. Todd, you've been busy. What's going on in your world?
Dude, I'm just gonna talk really fast, really short, and like this weekend was like a blur, but here we go. All right. So I forgot the messages last time I was on, but I went to Galloping Ghost. If you don't know
You
what
went to the
Galloping
Galloping Ghost?
Yes, Galloping Ghost
Dude, I love
is
that
an
place.
arcade machine place in the Chicagoland area. So if you're local, you got to go there. You pay $20. You can literally play all day until your fingers cannot move, or you get cramped carpal tunnel syndrome, or you just pass out because you've played every game. But it's a wonderful place. They literally have over 800 arcade cabinets, that games you would never see, games from Japan and all this fun stuff. So yeah, so Trent and I went there. It was a lot of fun. Check that out. I also went to the Museum of Science Industry. I know Heather went there as well, but got to see the Marvel exhibit. And so that was a lot of fun. That was
Awesome.
so awesome. It was awesome. It was like the bee's knees, the cat's meows, the cat's pajamas, everything else. Yeah. Heather, did you vote for your favorite superhero?
I did.
And who was your favorite superhero?
Unfortunately, just the basic old Captain America.
You went for Cap?
I did.
Yeah.
Even though he totally betrayed everyone he loves to get the girl.
Oh, wow.
I'm not bitter.
Wow.
It's fine.
Yeah, I went with Hulk, but when I was there,
Good choice. Good choice.
Spider-Man just was
he's
slaying
slaying,
everybody. So they had like this, like, I mean, essentially it's the history of Marvel, and they do a really good job of like all the comics and how it started and all that fun stuff. And then they got all the costumes too. They got like, you can see Spider-Man, you can see Black Panther, you can see there's like 3 suits of Iron Man and Captain America and, you know, Bucky, and oh my gosh, it's fantastic. But they have this voting machine, you know, and Spider-Man was just ungodly amount of votes for. It was crazy. I was just like, dear Lord, I did not know. I mean, I knew Spider-Man was popular, but it was, I mean, literally leaps, bounds, spider webs, all that kind of stuff above every other character. I was just like, dang, Spider-Man's got some swag. So that was kind of cool. I mean, I really enjoyed that exhibit. It was such a blast. I got too many hobbies, but doing fantasy football. So I'm the commish, been doing this for like nine years. I finally, something good out of 2020 happened. I won the trophy.
Hey.
So we had our draft thing with my buddies. And so I got to put my little nameplate on the old trophy there. And so I'm the 2020 champion. So that felt really good now.
Nice.
So that was awesome. What else, man? Jen and I are coming up on our 20-year anniversary. So we did a little shindig this weekend to celebrate that. So that was a lot of fun, a lot of planning, but got to do that. And yeah, that was awesome to do that this weekend. Saw Shang-Chi, the new Marvel flick. Just saw that today. Fantastic. Highly recommend it. And I teased this in a little ad read there, but Tempest Runner is an audiobook, but it is not a book. It is a like radio drama type thing. So they did this with Jedi Dooku Lost or Dooku Lost Jedi. No, Jedi Dooku Jedi whatever. And so it's all different actors, voice actors that play these different parts, and it plays out like more like a radio drama than somebody just narrating it. And Cameron Scott wrote it, and it's directed by Kevin Thompson, and Mark Thompson's in there. A bunch of other Dan Bittner, another guy we interviewed, bunch of other voice actors, and it's so good. Highly recommend it. So, and it's short. It's not like, I think it's like 6 or 7 hours. So it's not like terribly long time commitment, but it really it's just a different feel when you have multiple people playing the parts. I just feel like it's a little bit more engaging, even though like someone like Mark Thompson does like an amazing job. It's just really cool hearing different bits, and they do a really good job of like adding the sound effects, all that kind of. It's very well produced. So, and it's a great story. So, want to check it out? Tempest Runner by Kevin Scott. And then Kevin Scott liked my tweet because I finished it and I tweeted about it. And then Kevin Scott's like, yo, like bing. I was like, oh. So yeah, it was cool. Anyways, yeah, that's me.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Heather, what have you been up to?
Oh, well, I feel like it's been 8 years since I have given a Cantina Chat update.
Mm-hmm. I feel like I haven't seen you in 8 years, Heather, too.
It's true. It's true. I look the same, though, which is nice. So, yeah, I have been super busy with work because adulting is a real thing.
Boo.
But I did find a weekend and I escaped out to California to visit my best friend, which was very exciting. We did not go to Disney, which is super sad. Like we didn't go to Disneyland. I know it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. We didn't go to Disney.
To the Springs.
Well, it's not Disney Springs in Cali.
What do they call it again?
Just downtown Disney. But I did adopt a new cat.
Oh, that is fantastic.
A loaf cat. Oh, that is adorable.
Oh my gosh.
And then so he just hissed, if you didn't hear that on the the podcast. And then he growls.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
And then if I pet him, hold on, wait for it. He'll start to purr.
Oh.
Meows.
Oh my goodness.
So I adopted a new kitty.
Oh my gosh, that's fantastic.
So I did that because, why not? I'm an adult.
You gotta have a loft cat. I mean, come on.
It's true. And I got sabacc, so I learned how to play sabacc. So when we have our little get together, we'll play.
We have to play. Yes,
it'll be pretty.
I want to play.
Pretty exciting. Yes. I also decided to go back to school because I'm a glutton for punishment with time frame. So Aaron just finishes school and I decide to start school because it's a crossing of the paths. It's fine, but right. I am 2 weeks in to my intro to sign language class and I'm pretty stoked about it. It is definitely a lot more difficult than here we go. He just talks. He'll talk on his own.
Let him out.
So,
Gotta go
it's
potty.
fine. Oh my goodness. I'll put him down there.
Yeah.
So super stoked about that. That's been tons of fun. And yeah, so my dad celebrated his 87th birthday yesterday. So we did some fun things with him, which was really great.
Happy birthday.
What? So it was super good. And yeah, so I'm trying to think yes, I had one other nerdy thing.
Mhm.
And that is, so I finally watched episode dose of season 2 of the Mandalorian behind the scenes making of Thingamajigger.
Oh,
I'm a little behind the
Thank
eight
you
ball.
for bringing that up. Yeah, thank you for bringing that up.
Can we just have a quick moment to acknowledge that the way that Jon Favreau speaks about R2 is exactly how I feel. Every time I see R2 at a convention, that is the moment that I have, which was pretty.
It was pretty surreal, right?
spectacular.
He's like, I don't know why I'm getting emotional right now talking about it, but
Literally,
I do. And
yeah.
Yeah, I was just like,
so it's pretty
it's
great.
not that they're not human. We know they're human, but they are making a product for this thing, for us. And there is a little bit of like just the system of just like, hey, this is my job. This is what I do. I'm trying to make this and I want to make it good, but it's kind of like a machine. But the fact that he was just really moved by that. It was like I was really cool. I was like, oh my gosh, this is great. Yes.
It was pretty great. So
yeah.
But while I was out in California, I had a wonderful opportunity to do something. And so I picked up a little something that seems selfish.
Not COVID, please.
No. That just seems selfish for me to have on my own. So if you're watching the live stream of this recording, you will get to see a quick visual peek. If you are listening to the podcast, be sure to hop over to our YouTube channel so you can take a look at it. And I guarantee you we'll put it all over the social medias because I have a giveaway item.
Oh, no.
And so I have a Black Series Luke Skywalker. Trying to do it right. Here we go. Dun, da, da, da. He's got his little medal on because it's from the ceremony. So
yeah, it's nice.
So you're going to need to watch out for our socials, WSTR Media, all one word, all lowercase. And this bad boy is going to get promoted and we're going to tell you how you can win this and bring Luke home.
Nice.
So
love it. Thanks, Heather. That was so sweet of you. We'll figure out something very soon. Yes.
Cool.
Stay tuned for details.
And that's my story.
Awesome.
Aaron.
Well, yes. I had this whole thing prepared and I immediately forgot it as soon as Spotlight came on. Yes, so I ran Star Wars D&D recently, and I think it went well, but there are parts of it that I was a little disappointed in, particularly like the bad guys that my players had to fight. They were just kind of there. They didn't have like a ton of special stuff that they could do. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to prepare some bad guys for them. And I started like giving them abilities and stuff like that. And I'm like, well, I don't know how powerful this is. Like, what if this just like wipes out my players immediately? So this is how bad it's gotten. I decided to play test it. So I basically set it up in like a virtual room where my other players couldn't see. I put all their characters in. I made like a mock fight between them and these bad guys. And I basically, it was like playing chess against myself. I like played through a fight, going through like all my players' characters and theirs, and basically just like taking notes like on how it went, and oh, that was too powerful, or like this guy's kind of the same as the other guy. Swap out some things here and there. And it's not something I've really done before when I've run the game. I've mostly just been like, I'll put this in there and that in there, and maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. I don't know. but I feel really excited about this, that I was able to like find some things off the bat right away that I'm like, oh yeah, let's change that, and hopefully it'll be a really cool experience for the players going forward. In the meantime, I'm on the job hunt. Stay tuned.
Okay, we love it.
And there's something else. It's gone, and it's not going to come back anytime soon. So that's that.
Hey, you recovered finally. You got some stuff out there.
Yeah,
I'm sure there's some other stuff.
Yes. So suffice it to say, I will try to think of some more nerdy stuff for next week, but that's about it.
That's why I got around before, because like it just escapes sometimes. It just
I know.
oh my gosh.
Yes, Todd.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought up the I'm forgetting it. The behind the scenes of the thing. Yeah, it was good. I love the Plo Koon thing too. Aaron, did you watch it?
No, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So Plo Koon is like Dave Filoni's like favorite character. He cosplays at before he was even in Lucasfilm and all that stuff. But they had to put something in the script. They wanted to keep it secret about Luke so much that they had to keep it so tight that they put in a like this is like Darth Vader, I'm your father kind type stuff. They put in Plo Koon as the Jedi that returns to help, rescue Grogu and all that. And they even went as far as doing mock-ups of like Plo Koon. And I'm just like, wow, they went like next level just so they could throw off any kind of rumor mill or leakage or anything like that. And it's kind of a cool thing, like, oh, I thought Plo Koon's dead. No, he's back. I was like that. It was super cool that they chose that character because it's Dave's favorite character, which then kind of plays into the rumor mill, like, oh, Dave Filoni loves Plo Koon, so it's not like it wouldn't be too Harvard stretch. But anyways, I thought that was super awesome. So Aaron, is that all the Cantina chat?
It's all the news that's fit to print. All right, let's wrap this up. Thanks again for listening to another episode of WSTR, Galactic Public Access. You can check us out on social media. If you're listening, you know where to find us. I'm not even going to say it. That's the true test of a fan. Just a reminder, if you give us a 5-star rating on the iTunes, we'll throw some swag right into your face. You can catch our entire back catalog of episodes at podcast.wstrmedia.com. And we are part of the Red 5 Network. And what a great family of Star Wars podcasts it is. You could check it out at Red 5 Network and www.red5network.com. And thanks for hanging out with us in the YouTube chat, everybody. We stream every Monday night-ish at 9 o'clock-ish, Central Standard Time-ish.
There's a lot of issues, yes.
Next week, episode 237, we're starting a new main topic segment called Contributions. We'll be looking back at author J.W. Rinsler and his contribution to the Star Wars community. Tune in next week for that. There's only one way to end this. Now this is podcasting. We's back.